But when you look at the research, what do we know about kids who come from poverty? They typically don't live in print-rich, or vocabulary-rich, or experience-rich environments, right? So consequently, they start on that race toward reading by the end of the 3rd grade, on the first day of kindergarten, not knowing the difference between the letter A and the letter Z, the color red and the color blue, triangle and a square, right? Where other kids who've had these great, rich experiences are prepared in a much different way, and they're ready to learn. Now, often when I give this example, business folks push back and say, oh, Hank, you're making excuses. Can't use poverty for excuses. And I'm not. We have a responsibility to all kids, and we got to figure it out. But the challenge is a little more difficult. And so for the business folk in the room, I always try to use a business analogy to help them understand this issue of poverty. And because I've spent 6 years in Pascagoula, where Northrop Grumman Shipbuilding is located, I always use shipbuilding as the example. So let's make the assumption that we have 2 shipbuilding companies that look exactly the same, Company A and Company B. And in those companies look exactly the same. Their port facilities, their human resources, you name it, everything looks exactly alike, except for one thing. In Company A, through the gates or in the port facility comes steel that has been molded to the right length, the right width, and the right thickness. And it's ready to be laid on hulls to build great ships for America's Navy. In Company B, iron ore comes through. Can you build great ships out of iron ore? Absolutely you can, but you got to do a lot more with it, right? You got to do all the preparation work. And so kids who come from good environments, who've had good pre-K experiences, they're those students who are the right length and the right width and the right thickness, and they're ready to learn. And kids who come to school as iron ore, I know that's a crude example, but when I give this example, people say, oh, I get it. You got to do a lot more to get them there, right? And here's the thing that non-educators don't know. The children who can't read appropriately by age 8 or by the end of the 3rd grade are exponentially more likely to drop out of school. They're exponentially more likely to go to prison. In fact, there are a number of states in this country that actually predict prison bed space needs based on the number of students who can't read by age 8. If that's not a compelling reason to say, wow, we've got to do something very different with our youngest, most vulnerable citizens, I don't know what is.